boring when everyone does it. Welcome. My name is Insane Raven. If you haven't been here for Phobia Month, this is when we go about our ways and we talk about a specific phobia and hyper focus on it, providing you with full podcast episode on that specific phobia, playing a game that either features the item of fear in question or gives you to face up against it in some way, to just talk about actual legitimate DSMV diagnosable phobias that exist in the real world. We try to do it so that every year they kind of alternate from one you might have heard of before to one of you might not have heard of before. The first year we did was mesothelioma, which is fear of change, as it was a big change for the channel as of how we were going to do things going forward. On Wednesday, you got the hydrophobia episode, which was really interesting and really fun to kind of like go into that. And today, we're doing the official phobia month of 2021, which is Pognophobia. I can spell Pognophobia, which is the phobia of beard and facial hair. The psychological reasoning behind this phobia is that beard and facial hair is often used to portray dirty, unkept, and sinister characters in media. So the current, most prevalent theory behind why pognophobia actually became a diagnosable thing is that essentially it became an overestimation of just beards becoming a symbol of crime and unsafe, essentially. That is, according to what I was able to find anyway, what the biggest and best explanation for it to be. So I figured we could go on and do 4 games with just bitchin' facial hair for our thing. Now, I do want to talk about how like I said, it is a genuine phobia, and as much as I'm going to try to, still keep an entertaining and lighthearted approach on it, I do want to just kind of emphasize how this is a real phobia. People who become very uncomfortable and anxious around facial hair and beards, this might be the easiest one for you, especially with the podcast going forward, that you won't have to see my facial hair. So hey, in spirit of Pognophobia, I am celebrating the fact that you can't see my facial hair anymore. So that is great. And as it is tradition here on Phobia Month to start with an Assassin's Creed game to kind of lead us into the phobia, because Assassin's Creed games have literally covered everything in some way, shape, or form. On Wednesday, we covered that's Mario, but we covered Water with Edward Kenway, going on the Black Flag and all that stuff. But today we are doing Assassin's Creed Revelations, and I know what you're thinking. Okay, I can hear the thought inside your head, dear listener, and you're thinking, Raven, if you wanted to do a phobia on beards, then maybe you should have done the Viking game that has a big chopping beard in it. And I was like, yeah, that might be right. You might have, a good idea there. I'll give you that. But, what if someone who has never had a beard before now has beards? And if you play Revelations, you know that Altair has a beard. You know that Ezio has a beard. And even Desmond has a beard. You have 3 characters who previously did not have any beards, now all have facial hair. And I would just imagine that for someone who has pognophobia, because this is one of the rare times where I don't have some connection to the phobia, that makes it sound like I'm terrified of the world. No, but I have, this is a phobia that I don't understand, and I really want to. So if you know someone who has pognophobia, leave a comment down below. Like, let me enter in your world. I think that'd be really cool. I don't know how to say it when I'm actually wanting to convey of like I'm interested in your worldview. I'm interested in why that creates anxiety and why that creates like reasons. What's the story and all that. Without it sounding like I'm being very nonchalant about it, which is always kind of the concern with Phobia Month. But you know, it's fun. I'm having fun going into a look of like, hey, look, we want to be respectful, but at the same, so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about pognophobia. We're going to talk about the earliest cases. We're going to talk about all that. But all that will be in the upcoming episodes. But for today's episode, that's what we're talking about. And we're talking about Assassin's Creed Revelations. And I'm trying not to be light-hearted when it comes to people's genuine and actual phobias that causes them to break relationships and causes them to, you know, not take opportunities just because of the constant confrontation that might bring with facial hair. I get that. I want to respect that. But I have a very lighthearted take with everything. And I'm working on it. And which is why it's important that I do these kind of things. So, pognophobia is why have one beard with Valhalla when you could have 3 beards with Revelations? 3 beards on people who previously did not have beards. It could be interesting. Oh, sorry. My glass that created problems. Alright, so best served code. This is the first trophy I got, and it's for completing the DNA sequence 1. Show off his parachute onto a zipline. You have a lot of your earlier equipment from earlier games in the Ezio trilogy, which I do want to say I did platinum this on the PS4 on the Ezio Collection Trilogy Pack, which is where all these trophies are coming from. Big difference in between this game and the PS3 variant is that this game has no multiplayer trophies, but does include all of the DLC as base game content now, which, you know, we switched out multiplayer trophies, which I think at this point are actually impossible. I don't think those servers are still up. If I'm wrong, please let me know in the comment section down below. But for DLC trophies, which might be really annoying. And when I say might be, I mean spoiler alert, they were really fucking annoying. But so doing show off, it just immediately, it's one of the first things you can do. Like I said, I did in sequence 2, like before we even really got done with all the tutorializing that come with early Assassin's Creed games. That's the other thing. If you are newer to the Assassin's Creed franchise, you might not know that Assassin's Creed Revelations is a social stealth action-adventure game that takes place in Constantinople and Istanbul. It is not a giant open-world sprawling RPG with more boring, bland content than actual gameplay and entertaining stuff. It is more streamlined, and it is, in my opinion, Revelations is the best accumulation, sometimes words are difficult, of classic AC games. You know, that's just my opinion, and I'm going to try to convince you of that in this podcast. I'm not going to lie, as we kind of go through. So, one of the first things you can do, because you still have all your equipment from earlier games, that you can hop onto a parachute after jumping off of a really tall building, aiming it right, and just falling onto a zipline, which will get you the show-off trophy. Iron Curtain, perform a perfect den defense without using the cannon. You can do this in the tutorial, which is what I did. I wanted to see if I could do it in the tutorial, because I didn't think I could. But you can, and I did. So there you go. It's Istanbul and Constantinople. Oh, you wanna go back to Constantinople, but you can't. Cause it's Istanbul, not Constantinople. Okay. But that trophy is for completing the DNA sequence 2. The early years, complete Desmond sequence 1. Now, this is what I want to talk about. This game, the story of this game is that it is trying to essentially be the end of Assassin's Creed. This is the last game the original creator had his hand on, and it takes Altair, Desmond, and Ezio and tries to bring them to a single place so that they can all have an interaction, and you can see the canonical conclusion to all of those stories. So this game has a lot going on with it story-wise. So there are DNA sequences that feature both Ezio and Altair, which you have to do for story purposes, and then you have to jump out of the Animus-ish, and then do Desmond sequences. But all of this is 100% up to you on when you want to do it and when you want to do your pacing, which creates a bit of pacing issues as the game continues, but that freedom I find is really nice, and you can very well play with that to make the pacing something you are actually comfortable with and you want to do, in my opinion. Overkill, assassinate 50 guards with the hidden blade. You will get this just by doing it. Craft Maniac, craft 30 bombs. Again, this is one of the ones that is just going to take some time to do. And if you continuously hit those posts, birdcage, boxes, you'll get them. Kill 5 guards under the cover of a smokescreen bomb. Now, the way I recommend doing this is creating a bomb with a large radius and a large smokescreen effect. Throwing it down and then immediately just stabbing everyone as quickly as possible is going to be your best bet. I believe you should still have your double assassin blades, which can make it super quick work, barely even a thought, just boom, boom, one. Super easy. But your best bet of getting this done is creating that bomb with a large radius and a smoke screen effect. That's going to be your best bet of doing it. My protege, have one trainee reach the rank of Master Assassin. Just like in early Assassin's Creed games, starting from Brotherhood, you can have your trainees and assassin pickups essentially go on and do missions and help fight with you. And this is the game where it took the idea of Brotherhood and it was like, okay, this is what it actually means to be the Master Assassin in every aspect, from the you yourself are a badass doing things to the managerial aspects of keeping the entire Brotherhood in line to keeping territory in line. I loved this game. Seal the Deal, complete DNA Sequence 3, The Reluctant Assassin, complete Desmond Sequence 2, complete Desmond Sequence 3, Escape to New York, Silent but Deadly, kill 3 guards simultaneously, only using throwing knives. Again, there's not really a lot you can kind of do there. Your best bet there is to look for ones that don't have your pikes and are more plainclothes. Those are going to be your best guards to kind of go at it. Fully charge it and then just let it rip. But there's that. Monsters Dance. Have a guard incapacitate 3 civilians when he's poisoned. Throw money on the floor. Get a bunch of civilians. Poison dart the guard with a pike. And he'll just start swinging and taking care of everyone. Not that hard at all. Almost flying. Parachute directly from the top of the Galata Tower to the Golden Horn. This one sucks. This one took me so many attempts. And it's mostly because it's just not... It's not... The hitboxes are weird. And you always have to kind of be angling yourself up to try to get as much distance. It is just an uncomfortable trophy in the scope of flight mechanics. So just kind of be aware of that, know what you're getting into, and you should be fine. I say should be because I can't guarantee anything with this trophy, but you should be fine. Tax evasion. Get your money back from a Templar tax collector. Pay him off for your crimes and then rob him, either by killing him and looting his body or just pickpocketing him. Mosh pit. have 10 gods poisoned at the same time. What you're going to have to do here is get 2 different groups of gods chasing you. Have them chase you, bring them over to a stationary god post, and then using a bomb, a poison bomb with a large radius, toss it down and try to get all of them. This is a trophy that took me a number of times to try to do. It's not fun. It's not a fun trophy at all. It's a lot of the trophies in Revelations have to deal with bomb manipulation, as bomb crafting and that kind of stuff is the best way of doing it. To just be aware of what you're actually being asked to do and be aware of the best way of doing it and just keep trying. It's one of the ones that you have to set up the scenario yourself, because naturally 10 gods aren't going to be around you unless you do some prep work. The Prince, DNA Sequence 4, Bind and Be Abductorial. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I'm pretty sure it's like a side event. It's not even like a actual mission. It's just something that you can run across that he's back in town. He is the high school bully rival. I think rival's a better word for him. From the Assassin's Creed 2. I think he was hitting on your sister, Claudia. And that's how you kind of meet him, I think. If my memory is serving me correctly. A friend indeed. Complete all Faction Creed challenges from a single faction. I did the Assassins, because it was the easiest one. Yep. Fast Fingers, loot 50 dead gods from thief looting. I mean, not that hard at all. Spider Assassin, climb Hagia Sophia from the ground to the pinnacle in under 25 seconds. This is one that's going to require you to do 2 things to not make the same mistake that I did. 1, know which building you're trying to actually climb. I climbed not the Hagia Sophia, but I climbed the what was it called? The Galata Tower. I climbed the Galata Tower so many times thinking it was the Hagia Sophia. Again, I am sorry for butchering the Italian pronunciation on all of these things. I'm not even sure if it's Italian because it's Istanbul and Constantinople, but I'm not sure, but you know what I mean. That it drove me insane. The second I actually realized which one was the Hagia Sophia, I got it in my first try. And 2, realize that 25 seconds is actually a much wider window than you think it is, which is great. It's not, as long as you're at the right building, it's pretty easy. Don't get in your head about it, and if it takes you 2-3 tries, that is fine. Early Assassin's Creed games, their climbing was not the best, and it was just a quirk of the series, essentially. It still kind of is. Alright, Mousetrap. Kill 5 gods with a scaffold after they've been stunned by caltrops. Now, for this one, I recommend using a small to medium-sized caltrop bomb, because what ended up happening for me a number of times is that I would set it up with a large bomb, think that all 5 gods were in a close enough proximity to get hit from the scaffolding. I would throw the guy and he wouldn't get hit. It happened more times than I'm comfortable admitting, and I got really frustrated with it. So just be aware that with a larger bomb circumference, you might be causing yourself problems and it won't be as accurate. With 1,000 words, collect all Ashik Pasha's memoir pages. I'm sorry for my pronunciation if I butchered that. Yeah, but these are one of the ones that they almost act like the feathers in Assassin's Creed 2. Not the feathers, there's only 10 of them. But they're in marked boxes and you can just climb up to them. They are some of the harder climbable locations, but there's only 10 of them, and they're marked on the map. It's not that hard. You just have to be willing to go do it. The plot thickens. Complete DNA sequence challenge 5. Holy Wisdom. Complete the Hagia Sophia challenge level. Again, it's set up for you. It is fun. Complete Kill 5 guards in 5 seconds using only your hidden blades, lightning strikes, double blades, smoke bomb, as quickly as possible. Just bang, 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 bang. Yeah, bang, 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 and you should get it. It took me a little bit longer the first time, which caused some confusion on my end, but I eventually got it. Successes and failures: complete DNA sequence 6, the Rotten Apple, complete Desmond sequence 4, all you Desmond Miles, complete Desmond sequence number 5, old boss, new boss, complete DNA sequence number 7. The mentor: have 7 trainees reach the rank of Master Assassin. As long as you are continuously giving them missions and continuously calling on them, you will get it. It is not a hard trophy. It is just something that you have to remember to do, in my experience. Pyromaniac: complete all bomb missions. This is a trophy that all the bomb missions are essentially tutorial missions, which is really annoying. A lot of the frustration out of this game comes from the fact that you have to 100% all the optional missions, which at this point I think had just been introduced in the game previously, which was a bloody nightmare. But quickly it becomes apparent that Revelations is the only game, if you platinum all the other Assassin's Creed games, I should say, that Revelations is the only game that doesn't have a single mission where the optional task is absolute shit. Like, I remember the tank mission from Brotherhood, the Leonardo da Vinci tank mission from Brotherhood. I remember the sneaky boat mission on Assassin's Creed 3, which was fucking infuriating. The boat stealth, the stealth boat from 4. All just the Tony fucking mission from Unity being a bitch on its own. Syndicate, I think you just had to play there were missions you just had to play twice because there were certain things that you just couldn't do in a single run through. So there were 100% issues. Like, oh my god. Priorities: complete DNA sequence number 8. Fond memories: achieve 100% synchronization in all sequences. This is not including the DNA sequences. This is, I don't know what this is referencing exactly because the screen is just a white screen. I can't see anything there. So, and I got this not like 5 months ago. It wasn't even that long ago. So I'm not sure what that's referencing, to be honest. DNA sequence 9. I think that's the final. Yeah, DNA sequence 9 is the final. Okay. Fond memories is if you're doing all the optional missions. I had to read the next one because they popped out of order, which was weird. Is for completing all of the optional missions in the main missions, which then goes to Revelations with this complete DNA sequence number 9, which less than half people have done, which is a shame. Capped, which is collect all animus data fragments. Those are really annoying. And I think that as you continuously pick them up, they start showing up on the maps. You start getting trackers for them. But as you start out with them, they get really annoying. Listen out for the musical cue, and you should be able to get them eventually. The animus data fragments, those act as your feather substitutes from the Assassin's Creed 2, and these essentially get less frustrating the more you get them. Just listen out for the musical cues and you should be fine. Should be. Sage, collect all available books, and that is the last trophy I got in the base game from the PS3 era. All the trophies from here on out take place in the Lost Archive DLC, which was not needed for the PS3, but for the PS4 Ezio Trilogy Collection, it is included instead of multiplayer. So I would rather have this than anything else, but save yourself. This is just a matter of, as soon as you get that like sound effect of air rushing past your ears, drop a block to save yourself and you will not die. Do that, you get the trophy. Part of the Creed is a story mission in the DLC, which I'm not going to spoil for you. Jump, they say, it's another story mission. I'm not going to spoil for you. Enter the Animus, it's another story mission. I'm not going to spoil for you. Alright. This next trophy, I got massive beef with. This next trophy took me about 3 days. I want to say 3 days to get. I was just constantly coming back and trying again, which was awful. This was one of the trophies that I'm like, oh, okay, this DLC thing might have been a mistake. Which is Impress Warren Vidic. You have to complete the Animus testing sequence without failing. You cannot die a single time, and with how the sequence goes, it requires you to just be on top of your game and to just be ready for it. Like, the air moves differently, gravity gets affected differently, there are lasers you have to dodge, and all of this is done in a first person 3D janky platforming, which is synonymous with the modern day story arc. I'm doing air quotes, but you can't see them. But the modern day story arc of the Assassin's Creed franchise. And it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Meet Your Maker, which is which is a story mission. Cross Sticks Without Dying, which is just, there's a river part of the game, part of the DLC, which it's very noticeable once you see it. It uses similar tricks to the base game to simulate water. You have to do this entire wild, launching yourself into the air type platforming without dying. Very similar to Impress Warren Vidic, but as well as that took me days to get through. Cross Sticks Without Dying took me about 5 attempts. And part of the worst part of that was that once you restart at the beginning of the level, not at the beginning of the sticks. Which is, so much fun. But, again, in comparison, it's not that bad. Impress Warren Vidic, I hated. And I would go on record for hating. There were points where I was doing that goddamn trophy of Impress Warren Vidic, and I was like, I'll choose another game. I have less than 6 trophies left, and I will choose another game. And again, it wasn't because it was hard. It felt like it was just small little inconsistencies with like how the platforms would move and how things, because you're creating all the platforms and how everything would function, that I just got so frustrated with it. I'm like, no. If it was harder, I'd have a worse time with it, but it's not hard. I'm just bad at this platforming shit. But you will get through both of them, I promise, because I got through both of them. So you will too. The loop. Hello. Almost ripping out wires of my PS4. That's always fun. Which is finishing the Lost Archive story. Find all the pieces, which is for deciphering all the fragments. They're similar to the Animus data fragments from the base game. Very similar in the everything of them, of the Lost Archive, which you have to go through and play all of them first. Every single chapter first, experiencing the loop to get all of them first. Then there's breaking the loop, which is the little bit of footage you saw at the beginning of this podcast, if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, it is essentially you have to go back to chapter 5 after picking up all of the decipher fragments, and you get a second exit way. You need to go out that second exit way in order to pop the trophy. That then got me the Conqueror Trophy, which is sitting at a cool ultra rare 4.1% for total completion, for total platinum achievers amongst all players. Now, I don't like the Lost Archive. I've been pretty clear about that. But I 100% believe that Revelations might be the best all around Assassin's Creed experience from early Assassin's Creed. Like, it feels like an Assassin's Creed game. It feels like every aspect of the Assassin's Creed early game experience has been met and has running on its best performance. It feels like you have, as much as the pacing is kind of disjointed, the stories that it's telling between Desmond finally learning who the hell he is as a character, getting an actual conclusion to Ezio's and Altair's, having all of them come to conclusive ends, felt amazing. It felt like I was finally playing the Assassin's Creed game that I was supposed to be playing. It felt like everything had come to a nice end. It felt complete in a lot of ways. Now, I understand that I'm saying that without having played through the unique but entirely unnecessary multiplayer component of this game. I don't know how much of my experience would have been shaped differently had I tried to platinum this game on PS3, but I can't judge that. Judging ACR based purely of what the game we were given it was brilliant. And I would go to say it is, like I said, it is the best all-around Assassin's Creed game. Classic. Now, Wednesday, if you haven't listened to that podcast, I highly recommend it, because that game, Assassin's Creed Black Flag, 100% is the best story. Wholeheartedly. I never feel anything with these Assassin's Creed games by story alone. The music gets me, but I have never experienced anything in just plain story. That game has the best story, and I'm going to go into it, and I went into it much deeper on that episode, but Assassin's Creed Revelations, in my opinion, is a sleeper hit in the franchise. It is a game that I wish I would have picked up earlier, I wish I would have played it earlier, and I wish I would have platinumed it earlier. I know that because of how many Assassin's Creed games I've played, I'm going to forget this one. I know I am, because at the end of the day, yes, it is the best one, but it also feels like such an early showcase for everything. You have the anime sci-fi dickery, you have, the first civilization, who have now been given actual names in Valhalla, but I haven't played that game yet, so I don't know what their names are. You have Ezio, you have Altair, you have Desmond, you have all these components all working together and being smooth. You have you have characters like Sean and the one woman whose name I'm always forgetting, and Desmond's father commentating on, are they doing the right thing? Is this what they're supposed to be doing? You get a nice conclusion to Subject 16, which I really loved. Like, this is a game that if you are a fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise, especially the earlier games, I cannot implore you enough to go back and give it a play. Just to be like, hey, what did I miss? Because, truthfully, I loved this game. And if it wasn't for the fact that so many of the early Assassin's Creed games, the only thing they really have that makes them stand out and unique is their locations, this would 100% be the game I would always come back to. Especially because, like, Constantinople and Istanbul in the Middle East is an area that not a lot of games take place in. So even that itself is unique. The city is vibrant and beautiful, and I loved this game. Please play it. Please. And if you are so inclined, go get that platinum trophy because it's an ultra rare, and the ask, truthfully, isn't that much, except with Impress Warren Vidic. I don't know who Warren Vidic is entirely, because I'm pretty sure, I'm 90% sure he's the leader of the Templars in the modern era from Assassin's Creed 1, but I didn't play that game, because I didn't know I had to. But fuck Warren Vidic. It's not that big of an ask, the Platinum Trophy for Assassin's Creed Revelations. So, if I have to leave you, I'm going to leave you on that. This has been another episode of Tales of the Hunt. My name has been Insane Raven, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye. For more Pognophobia.